Arsenal since the January break have been absolutely phenomenal. As much as I hate to admit that as a Manchester United fan, what Mikel Arteta has done with Arsenal has been an incredible achievement. And we're going to break down just how good Mikel Arteta has been, just actually how scarily good Arsenal have particularly been as of lately. Now, defensively, they've been good all season. They've conceded 0.31 XG across their last 7 Premier League matches, not like 0.31 XG across 7 matches. That is literally like 0.045 XG a game since January. And as H said, least amount of goals against, least amount of XG against, least amounts of non-penalty shots against them, least amounts of shots on targets against them. Opponents are taking shots on average the furthest away from goal against Arsenal. The goalkeeper has the least amount of saves to make. Arsenal have the most clean sheets. They've been the best team in possession since the January break. They've been the best team out of possession all season. They've been the best team defensively all season. I'm going to talk about Mikel Arteta and what he's doing, because out of possession, it's scary how good Arsenal have been through the season. We're talking about them scoring 7 goals in their last, we're talking about them scoring 30 goals in their last 7 games. That's amazing. We're talking about them scoring, 5+ goals in 3 consecutive away matches. That's amazing. But let's actually talk about how good that defense has been. Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice, that core has been immense all season. Raya has done a really, really good job. And as you can see, Arsenal have only conceded 2 chances greater than 0.1 in 2024. So to put that in perspective, basically no one's really had a real scoring opportunity versus Arsenal. And the only goals Arsenal have conceded in 2024 was an opportunity that XG wouldn't expect you to score. And not only that, in 7 matches, they're conceding the fewest amount of shots per game as well. 7 shots, I think, in their last 7 matches, which is absolutely ridiculous. 7 shots on target, in their last 7 matches, which is absolutely crazy. But Arsenal defence has been good all season. We want to talk about the attack. We want to talk about what Arteta has changed. Arsenal have a good attack, but at the start of the season, there was questions over, was that attack flowing? Had they been found out? Had they become maybe too predictable? Arsenal are ranked like 13th after the first 13 games of the season for goal score, something like that. Now, the last 10 games, they are very, very truly ranked first for goal scores. They've nearly scored more goals than United, more goals in 2024 than Man United all season, which is a statistic I really don't like. But what has Arteta changed? First of all, since January, they're scoring a goal every 20.3 minutes, which is just highlights how good they've been. Not only have they conceded like 0.3 XG in like 7 games, but they're also in those last 7 games averaging a goal every 20 minutes. This is the best Arsenal will be. I don't know if they'll keep this up all season, but this last 7 games is probably the best Arsenal could be, and best they've been since like the Invincibles. Like that's how dominant they've been. You can even argue in terms of the Invincibles had a few draws, that these last 7 games, and it's across the basis of 7 games, so you can't really compare them to the Invincibles, but how good they've been these last 7 games is probably the best 7-game period in Arsenal's history. That's what I mean. Can't compare them to the Invincibles because this is 7 games, that is a season. But what's Arteta changed? Well, Zinchenko's out, Ben White's inverting, but Ben White's inverting really intelligently, which has allowed Rice to push further up. And because Rice has the capabilities to play as an 8, because he's a great ball carrier, he's a great progressive passer, he moves the ball quickly. Rice is playing the ball on quickly, he's moving the ball quickly, finding Martinelli in space. That's helping Arsenal. Martinelli's got a lot better recently because he's got the ball at his feet in space. Saka's obviously been playing really well as well. Havertz has taken up more of a 9 role, but he will then sometimes rotate into midfield. And in games where there's physical players in midfield, he'll drop deeper into midfield to win the goal kicks, to help him sort of regaining back possession so Arsenal can transition. But in these sort of bigger games, or when Arsenal think they're going to have more possession and they're going to be fine in midfield, he's taken in this 9 role. And Havertz in this 9 role means that you can have Odegaard, Jorginho, Rice midfield three that flows, I think, a lot better in terms of moving the ball quicker, in terms of keeping possession in the midfield phases and getting through the first and second phase. But Havertz is off the ball movement because he can sometimes go out wide, because he's tall. A centre-back needs to mark Havertz, so he can sometimes drag a centre-back out of the centre-back, a position where a centre-back's comfortable. Centre-backs are comfortable defending centrally. Centre-backs must pick up Havertz because he's the central striker, he's the tall guy. He needs to be marked by centre-back. Havertz starts to drift down the left or drift deep. Centre-back goes with Havertz. Space opens up in behind for Martinelli, for Saka, for Trossard, etc. Odegaard's been taking up his free role now. He's had Declan Rice and Jorginho behind him. He's got this bit more license, bit more freedom where he's dropping deeper. He's basically everywhere. Odegaard, to explain Odegaard, Odegaard's basically everywhere for Arsenal, picking up the ball, doing what he wants. And because Odegaard's such a technically good player, because Odegaard's such an intelligent player, he can do that. He can do that free role thanks to Jorginho, thanks to Rice. I think also Rice playing left centre mid in a few games where Havertz has gone striker and Jorginho has gone in midfield has also allowed the game to flow better for Arsenal. Martinelli's got better. And I think Arteta's made a lot of changes to Arsenal in that January Dubai break, because he's made so many changes that they couldn't list it all on one page. But he's made Arsenal unpredictable. Is Trossard going to start down the middle? Is Havertz going to start down the middle? Jesus going to start down the middle? Is Havertz going in midfield, but he can rotate with Trossard? Trossard could drop deeper into midfield. Havertz goes up. Trossard could go to the left. Havertz could go to the left. There's so many rotations in game. There's so much unpredictability. And now Arsenal unpredictable. They're impossible to defend against. Arsenal have always been brilliant at attacking space. If you leave Arsenal space, they're going to score goals. Early in the season when Arsenal weren't scoring a lot, they scored 6 goals versus Lens because Lens gave them space. But now, if you sit back against Arsenal, they've got so much of the ball, they'll just drill you away. And look at the goal contributions for the Arsenal players this season. That many players with 10+ goal contributions. Havertz was a slow burner, but he's really showing his importance. But I'm here to talk about Mikel Arteta. I'm here to talk about why we've got to give Mikel Arteta some credit. You know, the scary truth about Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. And this is what I want to talk about. Mikel Arteta and the job he's done. Because I think you have to give him credit. As a Man United fan, I doubted Arteta when he first got to Arsenal, as did many people. But he's now in a place where, you know, Barcelona want him. Not that I think he'll leave Arsenal, but putting that out there. He took over a toxic Arsenal squad at 11th and basically rebranded them and got them competing for titles. He got Arsenal back in the UCL after 5-6 years. He had players like Aubameyang and Ozil. He replaced them with young, hungry players that shared his identity. Aubameyang and Ozil were like the best players. Lacazette was like the best players. They were the fan favourites. Fans were outraging when Arteta wanted them gone. But he said, no, they're not part of what I want to do. He got rid of the big names. He got rid of the so-called best players. And he brought in these young, hungry players that some people didn't really know that he's developed. And all of a sudden, he's built a team. Arsenal were a team of individuals. Aubameyang was great. Ozil was great. But they were a team of individuals at the time. They had a few good individual players. They couldn't play as a team. Arteta's built a team of players that can play as a team. He's brought back competitive football to Arsenal. But not only that, it's not like Conte, it's not like Mourinho where, okay, cool, you're winning stuff. No, they're playing very good football. They're playing attractive football. As much as it hates me to say this, they have one of the most likeable teams in the league in the sense of how intellectually and technically good their players are, how young they are, and how, you know, disciplined they are. They've got players with the right attitude, the right mindset, that are technically good, that are intelligent. They've got those players. And, you know, that's something massive. And they haven't even got the striker. And I still think they need a left centre mid. I still think they need a striker. But this progress. Even when Arteta was having a poor first couple of seasons, you were seeing slow progress. And if you look at Mikel Arteta, these were his stats before this January blip. But even before this January blip, he had a 57.3% win rate. And he had the highest win rate of any Arsenal manager for more than 25 years. And this was before this January period. January, February, March period, they've been good. He came into Arsenal when they were 11th, when they were in crisis, halfway through the season, and he's turned Arsenal in a couple of years into the second most valuable squad in the league. In football, not the league, in football. That's what you've got to talk about Arteta. That Arsenal team, the fans didn't like them, the players were unlikable, they were 11th, they looked done and dusted, they looked a big rot. Arteta's come in from that 11th place Arsenal side that was this mess. And Unai Emery is a good manager, by the way. And wow, second most valuable squad in football right now. Like that, he's improved all the players that had come through, like Saka. He's brought his own players. He's made them better than when he brought them. Havertz spent a lot of money on Havertz, but Havertz is twice the player was at Chelsea. Jorginho's looking a lot better than he was at Chelsea. You know, look at all the players that he's improved. Look at the Arsenal players he's improved. Even Saka was unbelievable last season. And you arguably miss Saka for elements of this season. And Declan Rice is an unbelievable number 6, but Arteta could develop into a world-class number 8. And people forget how young Arteta is. Arteta is the youngest Premier League manager. Arteta has the youngest Premier League squad. And Arteta has done so much. Not only that, he's reinvested in the club on and off the pitch. He's changed the culture. He's changed the attitude. He's changed the rules. He put Arsenal in their first title race for a decade. Arsenal now in another title race, but they could seriously win. He has more wins from his first 200 games in charge of Arsenal than any manager in history. And when he came into Arsenal, they were in their worst period. Arsenal's not an easy club to manage. There is media pressure. There's good managers like Potter that went to a Chelsea and they suffered because of the media pressure. Arsenal's not an easy club to manage. Wenger was struggling at the end. Unai Emery, a good manager, struggled. He's gone into a really difficult club to struggle in the most difficult era where they hadn't been in title race for a decade, and he's put them in that, while also bringing in young players, while also developing players and getting rid of big names. He's reset the culture on and off the pitch. He's changed Arsenal. But he's a manager that you can tell loves Arsenal. Rio Ferdinand was saying that he would leave Arsenal for Man United. He wouldn't in a heartbeat. I know that. He loves Arsenal. But he's improved Arsenal on the pitch. He's improved Arsenal off the pitch. He's established relationships that are good with those higher up and those above him at Arsenal. And he's reset the Arsenal culture. Because now Arsenal are scoring more goals and conceding a lot less. We showed you how defensively good they've been this season, but they're scoring and scoring and scoring. Saka and Martinelli, young players that could have gone either way. They could have gone the Rabel Morrison route, or they could have gone the Saka and Martinelli route. They've gone the Saka and Martinelli route. Saliba has completely fulfilled his potential and unbelievable, not just defensively, but on the ball as well, unbelievable. Xhaka and Partey massively improved when Arteta came in. I know Partey's been injured this season. Havertz, he's improved. He manages well upwards. He's got good relationships with everyone around him. I think he's spent money smartly. I wasn't 100% sure about the Havertz signing, but we're starting to see what Havertz can offer. He's developed Havertz, Jorginho, who's seen us washed, Ben White into players that will be key if Arsenal win the league this season. And more importantly, he spots his problems. Arsenal, a lot of Arsenal fans thought their season was over in January. There were some issues at Arsenal, of course, in that sort of January period. But Arteta made loads of differences. He found the best way to utilise Havertz, which was playing as a 9 in the big games. But if there's a big physical midfield, he'll drop deeper into midfield like West Ham, and he'll play in midfield in some games. But when they have less of the ball, we might be in attack when they're playing a City or a Liverpool as a number 9, because he can cause problems. He got Konate sent off. Raya is, you see how crucial he is in build-up and how he really helps Arsenal play it from the back. And I think Raya was a bit of a slow burner, but you can see how Raya improves them in build-up. And he's made Arsenal unpredictable. And I did a video on this. Arsenal can now build up in 3 or 4 different ways because of the players they've got. Declan Rice, Ben White, Saliba, Raya, all these good players that are good on the ball. And Dewey and Timber will just add to that. Arsenal can play multiple different ways in build-up because of that, because of the likes of David Raya, which makes them unpredictable. Are they going to go long? Are they going to go short? Are they going to do a 3-2? Are they going to do a 2-4? Are they going to do the box midfield? Are they going to do 5 in midfield? Are they going to overload the midfield? Are the fullbacks going to invert? The fullbacks going to stay wide? There's so many things that this Arsenal squad could do, which makes them a nightmare to defend a bit against, because you don't know what they're going to do, because they have so many good players that are so versatile, that have certain abilities that can make Arsenal unpredictable. They could do Jorginho or Rice in some ways. Rice can push further up into an 8 role, or Rice can play as a number 6. Havertz and Odegaard could go into midfield with Rice, or it could be Jorginho and Rice with Odegaard, and Odegaard pushing further up in a 3 role. You know, Saka and Martinelli are on the wings, but Jesus, Havertz and Trossard, even Nketiah could play striker, and Trossard can play left and striker. Jesus can play left and striker. Havertz can play midfield and striker. They've got all these players that can interchange position, that are so different, that offer so many things, that Arsenal are becoming unpredictable. And I said one of the reasons Liverpool have been so clutch in second halves, one of the reasons Liverpool have been so good in second halves, is because Liverpool had about 7 midfielders on the bench, 7 midfielders in total, 4 on the bench when everyone was fit. And you had a Curtis Jones who offered something completely different to a Harvey Elliott that could go into midfield, or a Ryan Gravenberch that could go into midfield. So Klopp would then change the midfield. And if Liverpool struggled in the first half, they then did something different in the second half, which made them unpredictable. And I think Arteta's doing that with Arsenal. What Arteta's done is he's made Arsenal this versatile team that can now transition. And if you give them space, they're lethal. But now they can destroy a low block, because they do all these altercations, all these changes, all these adapts, all this flexibility. And I think the job Arteta's done at Arsenal, as much as I hate to say it, has been magnificent, and he deserves credit for that. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching. See you next time.